I'd be happy to develop most film at no charge. All you need to do is contact me and ship the film out to me, and then I'll use that film in a future video. But some of you probably want to do it yourself. If that's the case, what do you need to do it? Well, you need a developing tank that has a developing reel that fits the size film that you need to develop. You need a daylight bag, and this basically is a small portable darkroom, so to speak. It's kind of like a shirt. Has armholes, and then it has a double zipper. It's double lined. You slip everything you need into it, close the two zippers, slip your arms in, and you can do whatever you want in the dark, and then pull out the film in a sealed tank and proceed with the developing from there in daylight. In addition to that, I use dye-fine for almost all of the film that I develop. It's a compensating developer. You don't have to worry about time other than keeping it at 3 minutes for each part. You can go over. I wouldn't go under though. And temperature doesn't matter with this, unlike most developers. After that, you would use fixer. You can use any brand that you want. I tend to go with Ilford's Rapid Fixer. You mix this up with water and you have a fixer that's good for about 7 days. And then PhotoFlow. And as you can see the date on there, this has been open a long time. The stuff lasts forever. It's a wetting agent, and it allows you to remove the water off the film without scratching, allows it to dry properly, that type of thing. In addition to that, you also need a squeegee to actually squeegee down the film, some film clips to hang the film so that it can dry, a location for it to dry that's relatively dust-free, that kind of thing. But in an earlier video, I had said that I would show more detail on how to actually load the developing tank. Now keep in mind that these steps would be inside the developing bag, and you wouldn't actually be able to see what you're doing, so I would recommend you get a roll of film to practice with before you actually use it on your own film that you think might have something worth saving. So let's go ahead and zoom up and take a look at this. The actual spool you have will depend on the developing tank. This is the tank I prefer to use, but it only goes as large as 120. For the 116 and 616 sizes, I have to go with an older developing tank. You can still buy these new, at least for this size, and this size allows you to do 110 film, 127, I'm sorry, that's 35 millimeter, 127, and 120. So I'm going to show you how to use this on a 120. Now with an exposed roll, you would actually have the exposed side instead of the load side. But the process is the same. The film itself is the same internally or inside the spool. So I'll just use it like this to show you how. Inside the dark bag, I like to have this off, the dark tank off to the side, or the developing tank off to the side, and have the spool in front of me. As you can see, there's a front and back to this. This little catch right here allows the film to actually slip in, so I like to have that facing towards me when I load it into the bag. I take the film, tear the little tab off, and then take it out until I reach the tape. Now the tape you reach will actually be a smaller piece because it's the exposed side. But you need to tear the tape if it's still taped. In most cases it's not. And you will take the film and slip it in to the notch and move it forward a little bit. It'll jam slightly. You'll lift it over and then you'll proceed to load it. To do that, you hold lightly with one hand, twist forward, pull back, and then simply rock it gently, and it will actually load the film onto the spool. I like to keep my finger, my pinky finger, underneath so that the roll of film isn't wandering off too far. And it does have a tendency of jamming a few times at the very beginning with old film. It's because the film has a very tight curl to it, and it tries to catch on every little thing as you're loading. You just continue rocking this back and forth, and then I just keep rocking back and forth like that. When you get to the very end, that tends to happen. It will slap up and try to curl itself into a little ball. You pull that out, keep your hand on it, fingers underneath, and then slowly continue rocking it onto the spool until you get it all the way onto the spool. You take the spool, you insert that into the developing tank, put the lid on, and close it up. Then you can take it out of the dark bag and begin your developing process. If that looked like it might be a little difficult, it's because it can be, especially with the old film, and certain brands really keep a tight curl that's very difficult to work with. Make sure you practice this process and these steps until you are 100% sure you can do it in the dark. Once you're sure you can do that, start practicing it in the dark bag with the bad film. When you've got that down and you can do it in your sleep, then you can move on to actually using a roll of film that you would like to develop. That way there's no chance of making a mistake. And your hands start sweating, your hands need to make sure they stay on the top of the film. If your fingers touch the emulsion side, the inside of the curl, you will leave fingerprints on the final negatives. So make sure your hands are 100% dry. As I said at the beginning, I'd be happy to develop most films. Just contact me, ship it out to me, and we'll go from there. No charge. Until next time.